Hi, my name is John. Welcome to another Sunday night nightcap. Tonight's nightcap, I do some work on a Sentinel steam wagon steam brake cylinder. I'll show quite a bit of that. 2 weeks ago I took Deb down to a little place called Tamworth and we stopped there a couple of nights. And we had a look at the Stratford Barn Steam Railway. It's at a railway museum. It's nearly all static stuff, but I got quite a lot of video of the engines. I've got a lot of like industrial locos in a big hall. I show quite a bit of that. But the real reason for going to Tamworth was I bought a little 5A Stuart & Turner steam engine in absolute minter. I'm going to show a bit of that, put some compressed air on, and we'll see if it'll work. This is the Stuart Turner 5A steam engine. It's been really well made, everything's finished off nice, all proper job. There's nothing to do to it really. It's got Stevenson reverse link on it so it runs forwards and backwards. I've always wanted one of these. Now I've got one. It would go into a small boat and power a small boat, but I just want it for display purposes. It's going to sit in Deb's living room. She doesn't know yet, but that's where it's going. I'm going to put some compressed air on and see what it actually runs like. I've never actually tried it yet. Right, I've got a couple up to an air supply. Alright, it doesn't want to run backwards. I don't think the valve timing's right. In fact, I know the valve timing's wrong, because even running forwards it's nowhere near as smooth as it should be. It's got a knock on it as well. That's caused by the valve timing being out. There's no clear issue like anywhere on the engine. The engine is really tight. It should run a lot smoother than that. So I need to take the valve chest off and see what's happening with the valve timing, where it really is a nice little bit of kit. I've also acquired this full-size steam engine. I did say I wanted a project, and I've certainly got one here. It's a commercially built one, built by FT Hawker. It's Stockton, which is not very far away from me. The engine's complete, but it's got one or two issues. It doesn't appear to have had a hard life. All the nuts and bolts are nice and clean, nothing's been rounded off. The flywheel's loose because I had to take the flywheel off to lift it. I'm going to do enough to make this run, then I'm going to strip it, refurbish it, repair what needs to be repaired, and rebuild it and paint it and make it look really nice. It'll be an excellent engine to take to a steam rally as a running display, because two people can pick it up. The series on the restoration of this is going to be appearing on my Patreon channel for the first few weeks, then it'll come back down on the ordinary YouTube. So if you want to see this being restored with no adverts, a bit of bad language, the Patreon channel is the place to go. I'll bring the camera in and give you a quick look around it, take the flywheel off and so we can get it to turn over. That's a tapered sleeve that the flywheel locks onto. Quite clever idea. I'll bring the camera in so you can get a closer look at it. It's got a boiler feed pump on there, driven off an eccentric. Turns over quite freely. It does make steam engine noises. I've never seen a steam engine with an inclined valve cover like that. I'm not quite sure what its idea it is. I'm sure someone will be able to tell us. There's a slide valve. Quite a massive thing it is. Really big steam ports. There's very little wear on there, and it is nice and oily, which is always a good sign. It's got a mechanical lubricator on there for steam oil for the cylinder. This has been added later. It's definitely an add-on, been quite nicely done as well. Made out of copper. So I can turn the engine around and have a look at the crankshaft, the big end. All this will polish up really nicely. Nice big strong crosshead. Once again, no wear. No damaged threads anywhere. Meaty looking big end and a lovely tapered con rod. I can see the crank's keyed, the way of this part is actually keyed onto the crankshaft. We'll take the cylinder cover off, see what it looks like inside of there, but up and now everything's looking really nice. No wear at all, you can see anyway. That guide's loose, and the bolts are loose in the bottom. It's been sort of half stripped and half not stripped. Some red paint inside there, that's been added on I think. Right, so we've got I'll get the vernier. 3.6 inch bore. Four and a quarter inch stroke. So it's quite a big, meaty looking thing. Top of the cylinder head, it fits onto there. There should be a split pin through there. So I'm going to do enough to make it work and then rebuild it properly. I think once this lagging's removed, there'll be nuts and bolts to hold everything together, I think, because there's no threads in there. And there's no threads in there, so it must be bolted from up behind the lagging. We'll take that off carefully. So there's certainly plenty to do to get this up and running. Idiot. That's the nameplate. A bit broken off there, we'll have to repair that. I think there'll have been a governor of some sort fastened on here, and with having the boiler feed pump on, it's probably been off a self-contained generating plant. So it's certainly a proper job. Age wise it's going to be 100-year-old, at least 100-year-old. These are possibly add-ons, I'm not sure, the lubricators for the main bearings. I'm not sure how the big ends lubricated. We'll find out when we start to get into it. This is a chrome plated grille of a wagon somebody's restoring, and what I've got to do to it, all these fastening bolts are snapped off. I'll bring the camera in so you can see them. They've been obviously fusion welded onto there or spot welded onto there. They're snapped off. I think I've got 12 of them to replace. So I'm going to grind that off, and I've made a little jig to hold the bolt in place while I weld it on. This is a little jig I've made that goes onto there. That means I can spot weld it into place, or tack weld it into place. Excellent. That's working out really well. I want a little bit tweak to straighten them up, but that's going to be splendid. That's the easy ones done, the end ones are a little bit more difficult. These are the corner ones, that's 4 of them. I think what I'll do is probably cut that off, weld a bolt in behind it, and then weld them back on. I think that's going to be the best way, because I think that pulls up flush against something. I'll try graining one off and see if I can just weld a stud or a bolt straight onto it. That could be another way of doing it. This is probably going to do the job for him. Yeah, they're going nowhere then. Get a little bit tweak to straighten them up, they'll be perfectly alright. You can hang on that bastard. I've got 2 of these ones to do. You've also got snapped off studs. Now the stud's snapped off, there's not much left of it. So what I'm going to do is just chop it off, and then I'm going to tack weld a 6mm bolt in there just on either side like that, using that one as a gate to get it in the right place. All it's got to do is hold the grill on. I think that's going to be the best way of doing it, because trying to weld in the bottom there is going to be a bit of a pain. Well, I can leave that on to guide it. We'll cut those off, prep it and try and weld it. This should fit in there and line it up on the snapped off stub. A couple of good tacks on there should be sufficient. It's going nowhere, that. You can hang on that bastard. That's the 2 little grills done. steam turbine. There's a steam turbine.
Of the National Narrow Gauge Museum, and behind
built over here to ship out working sugarcane fields. This machine, quite interestingly, is a steam engine that during its life gives converted to diesel, and on returning here it has been restored back.
Is that the one you want there? That size? It's just the right size for the garden.
It is. Like a cracking fire pit.